Hello and welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. This is the Chelsea-Leicester preview. I'm joined here by Dan Levine. Hello, Dan.
Hello.
And yeah, before we get going, if you want to go to the game this weekend, we have 2 tickets to give away to the Leicester match. So all you have to do is go to the Chelsea Fans Channel website to find out how. And our second promo, just before we get started, if you haven't already signed up to Fan Duel and you're a new customer, head to the Fan Duel website. Sign up, log in and enter the promo code Republic5er and you'll win an automatic free £5 stake to get started. Right, that's the end of that. Dan, Leicester. How are we feeling?
And Leicester. How are we feeling? I suppose we're feeling a little bit... we should feel a bit confident about this. I think Leicester don't look great, do they?
No.
They don't look like defending champions, though we've been there, of course.
Well, we know what that feels like.
Exactly, yeah. And, you know, I think we've got some positives coming back. We've got John Terry coming back into the team.
Thank God.
So, you know, glass is looking half full at the moment.
It is. I mean, as you say, neither team have particularly got off to a great start this season. You know, we're in 7th. I think Leicester are down in 12th. But we're playing them at a good time. And this does give us the opportunity to get back into the top 4, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Coming off the back of an international break ain't great. That's the problem. But this season has been so bitty like this. I think everybody's probably a bit frustrated. We had one, then we got a second. We've got another one coming up next month.
Yeah.
And we had that win against Hull, which wasn't magnificent, but was a win, which is
Still
what we needed.
Yeah.
And this has stopped the momentum, and that's a bit of a problem. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's given us a chance to get people back fit, as I say, John Terry. And so fingers crossed.
So, interesting, last time out against Hull, Conte tried the Conte way, you know, the 3-5-2 system. How's John Terry going to fit into that?
That's a big question, isn't it? You know, it remains to be seen, doesn't it? I think one of the good things is, and this is no discredit to Leicester, that we are playing Leicester at the moment. Leicester, who are slightly under the weather a little bit. They don't look like champions, as I say. I'm glad we're not playing Manchester United this week because we do need to try out John Terry in that formation.
We do.
We need to understand how he works. The difficulty with the 3 at the back is they need to be quite mobile. They need to be quite quick. They need to move that line about up and down.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, John's got an awful lot of plus points, but his mobility and his pace
never been one of them. So, I mean, we were just chatting beforehand how we envisaged, you know, these 3 centre backs working together. Potentially, it's John Terry maybe is the central figure playing a bit more of a sweeper role, and then the 2 in front of him, you know, more man markers. We're not really sure how we see that panning out, are we?
No, it'd be a fascinating one to watch. And, you know, 12:30 kickoff, so, you know, we'll have everybody in. Everybody might even be sober because it's 12:30, so people can be students of the game.
Count on it, yeah. So, about Leicester, what do you think it is that has made them, you know, falter at the start of this season so far?
Well, the one biggest thing is the one that we'll have in our favour, and that is N'Golo Kante, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, a lot of people last season talked about Riyad Mahrez, they talked about Jamie Vardy, and not so many people talked about N'Golo Kante.
He was the unsung hero,
and
really,
I think
wasn't he?
for most people who watch the game carefully, who know a little bit about how these things flow, he was the main reason they won the league.
Yeah.
You know? We're not quite yet seeing the N'Golo Kante that they had last season. He's been there in sort of fits and starts. There have been little halves of games where he's looked incredible.
Yeah.
But he's not done that week in, week out. So that's a big plus point for us, having him.
Yeah, definitely. And we're already starting to hear from the squad the benefit of having Kante in our team. I read something that Matic said earlier in the week. You know, Matic, you know, whether you want Matic in the starting 11 or not is a different matter. But, you know, he is being picked. He's playing alongside Kante, and he's quite relieved to have some of that donkey work, some of that closing down duties taken off him.
He's such a hard worker, isn't he? That's the thing. You know, what it's worth, I'd recommend anybody who goes to the game, just take your eye off the action for a minute and just watch him, because the way he nips in, he nips out, he picks up those little loose balls. He's everywhere, isn't he? You know,
he is.
At one minute he'll be up by that corner flag, the next he'll be down by that one. He's a remarkable sort of energy unit, really. He's just sort of producing all this energy all the time. Makalele is the closest thing I can compare him to.
Absolutely. Well, that's such high praise indeed, really, isn't it, to be compared to him. Talking of midfielders, Willian.
Yeah, some very sad news.
Yeah.
Sadly, people will be aware that William's mother has been suffering from cancer for some time. She passed away, which, you know, I'm sure we're all sending our love to William because of that.
Absolutely.
But you know, of course, that means he's over in Brazil. He's with his family. He's doing the things that are most important in life.
Absolutely.
One game is not important, and we're not expecting to see him this weekend.
So he's featured quite prominently this season. it's an opportunity for someone else to step up and make a mark.
Yeah, possibly. I suppose we might see something of Ruben Loftus-Cheek potentially.
Yeah.
Who's been very, very absent this season.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's all sorts of possibilities there. We could move somebody in and have maybe Moses out wide. Play Oscar in the middle.
Yeah.
There are options there.
Maybe is this a Fabregas hasn't been featured much this season. He had an absolute stormer when he came on in the League Cup against Leicester, scored those 2 goals. Is this an opportunity for Cesc to cement, or at least sort of bang on the manager's door and say, hey, I need to be in the starting 11?
Well, let's be honest. If he doesn't start this game when Willian's not there, then it says an awful lot about how things might be going forward.
How Conte feels about him.
I think that's the case. So, we'll have to wait and see. We'll find out 3/4 of an hour before the game when that team is announced. It'll be very interesting.
Absolutely. So moving further up the pitch, Costa's been brilliant this season. I think we'll all agree with that. Batshuayi, the glimpses we've seen of him, I think all Chelsea fans have been excited by it. Yep. But then, on the other side of the coin, been reading some stuff in the press about potentially him moving back to Marseille. And what's going on, Dan?
I think it's one of those times where there's a lot of agent talk. He's come over here and he wants to play football, doesn't he?
Yes.
Of course he does. And you see, you learn a lot about the guy when you just see him in action, when you see him on Twitter. You see he's a very...
He's a funny guy.
Exactly. He's a young, enthusiastic, fun guy.
Yeah.
And he's not the sort of guy who wants to be sitting there watching football when he's being paid to play it.
Yes.
And I don't know where these stories about him moving are coming from, but, it's always something that is used by agents as a lever to try and get someone into the team, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would love to see a lot more of Michy because I think he's got a lot of talent.
With the new formation, on paper at least, it says that there's 2 up front. There should be scope for him to get his opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. It depends how you use that 2, though, doesn't it? Because we've tended to use a slightly more withdrawn one. Maybe that's a Hazard or something like that. But if you go for a 2 out and out, and again, I think Leicester might be an opportunity to do that. Mm-hmm. Then it could bring all sorts of different results. Something very interesting.
So, on the subject of Chelsea strikers, one of ours that is doing extremely well, even though he's not at the bridge at the moment, is Tammy Abraham.
He's a star.
He's on fire at the moment.
Yeah.
But have we dropped a boo-boo here? I read today that Chelsea don't have a recall clause in his current loan contract, so he may be the most on-form striker in English football at the moment, but we can't get him back, can we? Even if we wanted to.
Tammy is an absolute star, and he is scoring for fun at the moment.
Yeah.
But he's scoring for fun at a much lower level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, there are some skills. It doesn't matter where you are; those are the skills you need. But somebody at Chelsea and somebody within Bristol City has decided this is the best way for his career to develop.
Yeah.
All 3 parties, Chelsea, Tammy, Bristol City, want him to be where he is now.
Okay.
This is not about, he's doing great, should we bring him back? This is about his development. Take it slow, take it easy, build his confidence, get him loads of goals in his bag, and then see what happens at the end of the season.
So it wasn't an unseen error, if you like, when they were doing the paperwork?
No, I don't think so at all. And by the way, I'm always told that in loan deals, as long as 2 of those 3 parties, the player, the other club and this club, agree to it, you can normally bring them back. Right. But I don't think, don't get your hopes up. That will not be happening with Tammy. He'll be at Bristol City for the whole season.
Okay. And I suppose, if Michy's not getting in on the pitch, Tammy's going to struggle even more.
Of course he is, yeah. It takes, this is a well-known thing, getting players through from this age of 18, 19, through to 21, 22. It's a big step up. If you look at the teams at the very top of the Championship, how much they struggle when they come up into the Premier League. That's the level Tammy is doing very well at the moment. We need somebody who can do very well at top 4 level in the Premier League. Big jump.
Big jump, big jump. And thank goodness for Diego Costa on that front. So another little bit of news I'd love your opinion on. As we know, during the summer, we were desperately seeking a new centre-back. We got David Luiz in last minute. We're big David Luiz fans here on the Chelsea Fans Channel. So, we got him in. But we're still looking. We're still looking for reinforcements and replacements. January transfer window's coming up. A name that popped up today, and I wonder if there's any truth in it, Sergio Ramos.
Interesting, very interesting. There's been a lot of names doing the rounds.
Sergio Ramos.
Yes.
He's getting on a bit, but quality like that is still quality.
A very, very, like you say, he's been around a bit. He's got bags and bags of experience.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say for him is the pace still there? Is he too old for Chelsea's wage structure and all that sort of thing. And is he a long-term fix? Obviously, he's probably not at the sort of age he is. But a great player. The problem is we've mentioned so many different names in connection with this vacancy in the back four, and they'll come and they go and they don't turn up.
Yeah. Is it because we are no longer, as much as it pains us as Chelsea fans to say it, we're no longer a big draw for the elite players in the world. When Chelsea Football Club comes sniffing, 5 years ago or something, it was that's a massive thing for them. Have we slipped too far down the pecking order to acquire the types of names that we want to acquire?
Well, Chelsea is still Chelsea. Chelsea is, as Jimmy Greaves said, the most glamorous part of the most glamorous city in the world. But we're not in the Champions League.
Yeah.
We came mid-table last season.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees we're going to be in the Champions League next season. And these are the issues. And players like that not only are very, very expensive in a very overheated market, when also the pound isn't worth very much at the moment, so they're even more expensive. But also, they want somewhere where they can have career development and they can have success and win trophies. And can we offer that at the moment? That's the question.
That is the question. I mean, if you were a young, up-and-coming talent, Dan,
I'd sign
Chelsea
for Chelsea.
come knocking at your door.
I'd sign for Chelsea.
So
You'd sign for Chelsea.
I would. So, Leicester, we're both predicting a win. Let's have a score prediction from you.
I think we're still trying to shore up that defence, and it might take a while to work itself out with sort of the addition of John in there.
Yeah.
So I think I might go for 2-1.
2-1?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go for 2-0 because I think the addition of John in there will shore up. I just think having him around is going to help. So I'm going to go for a 2-0. Long-term, Leicester's chances over the course of the season, they're never going to repeat last year's heroics.
It's not going to happen.
Are they going to knock on Europa League's door? Where do you see them finishing, Dan?
It's a difficult one to say, isn't it? Because at the moment, it's week to week, they're very, very different.
Yeah.
What I'd love to see them do is have a run in the Champions League. And to do successful things there and get through to the next round and maybe get on from that.
Do a Leicester in the Champions League.
Yeah. That's an idea.
Well, let's hope they don't do a Leicester against us this weekend. Dan, thank you very much for coming in to join us.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure.
Great to see you.
Remember, blues colour.
Welcome to the Chelsea Fans Channel. I'm joined by Charlie the Hurricane Skinner from the Mail Online. Charlie, thank you for coming in.
No worries, mate.
The international break is nearly over, thankfully.
Thank God for that.